So this is just sort of a way to put together a quadratic function together. So what I'm giving you on this problem is basically this is the general form of a quadratic function, ax squared plus bx plus c. You know that because we learned how to solve using the quadratic formula. We did that before. Okay, what we're going to do is, given these two pieces of information, that we have a vertex at 1, 4, and that we have another point on the graph, -1, -8, we're going to use that information to find a, b, and c. So we're working backwards. The reason you're doing this is when you learn something forwards and backwards in math, it's always better than learning it one way because it helps you to gain a deeper understanding of it. So the first thing I want you to write down is this, okay? You need to know the vertex form in order to start this problem. So write this down, please. The vertex form is f of x is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. All right. Now what you need to know is the vertex is these two numbers right here. That h and k gives you the vertex, and that's where they go in. So basically, I've given you x, that h is the x value of the vertex. So you want to go ahead and just put a 1 in there, and then k would be that number right there. Okay, so we're just going to plug it in. That's how you have to start this problem. You'll see one of these on your written assignment. I forget which problem it is. There's one problem like this. So go ahead and write this down then. So we'll have f of x is equal to a, leave the a alone, then we'll have x minus 1 squared plus 4 like that, okay? So that's step one, is you got to do that, all right? Just get everything set up. That's real simple if you know the vertex form and what you're doing. Okay, now step two, what you want to do is you want to use the point that I gave you to find a. And once you find a, you've done the big work of the problem, I think. And there will be one other thing we got to do, okay? So what you want to do is go ahead and write down the result we had from step one, which was f of x equals a times x minus 1 to the second plus 4, okay? Now, here's what you're going to do. If you're going to solve an equation, you got to know everything except one variable. So we need to know everything except a. And we actually do. So just look at this way. I have given you an x value. So where you see x, that's going to become -1. I gave that to you. Okay. I've given you a y value, and a y value is really the same thing as a function value. So that -8 is going to go there. Okay. Is there any problem with what I've done so far? Yes or no? I can't tell. Okay, I'm going to have you do a problem here in a minute, and then I think the problem I'm going to have you do is going to be pretty similar to this. Okay, well, go ahead and write down what you have. You have -8 equals a times -1 minus 1 to the second, and then plus 4. Now, you're going to solve that equation for a. Basic arithmetic, you get -8 equals a times -2 to the second plus 4. So that will be -8 equals, and let's just write that as 4a. -2 to the second is 4. So just write that as 4a plus 4 like that. Okay, so I'm plugging the point in. Is everybody following what I'm doing there so far? Okay, now, what do I need to do to solve for a? Okay, now we're solving equations, so what do I got to do to both sides? Subtract 4, good, okay. And you can do this in your head, I mean, if you want to. So you subtract 4 from both sides. That'll give you -12 equals 4a. Then what do you do to get the a by itself? Divide by 4. Thank you. Okay, good. So we divide by 4. So that will give a equals -3. So that's the purpose of doing step 2, is to find what a is. We're not done because we still got to find a, b, and c. Okay, but what you're doing in this exercise is learning, being familiar with the vertex form and what happens when you have another point on the function. Okay, step 3, put it all together now. So just now that we know what a is, we know a is -3, so that thing is going to plug right in there, okay, and go ahead and write down what you have now. So what you have is f of x is equal to negative 3 x minus 1 to the second plus 4 like that. Now that's not the answer. In this problem, you got to find a, b, and c. And all I've done so far, and what I mean by that is we got a as negative 3. We got to find b and c. Well, really all you got to do is just multiply that thing out. When you multiply it out, you get it in the standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. So just multiply it out. Okay, and you'll have to, FOIL and that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and just write it like this. I'm just going to write that as x minus 1 times x minus 1 plus 4. You'll need to FOIL, multiply, collect the like terms, and then we'll know what a, b, and c are. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and finish that then. We have negative 3. When you FOIL this, you're going to have the first term, x times x is x squared. Outside term is negative 1x. Inside term is another negative 1x. Okay, and then the last term is going to be plus 1. Let me write that a little bit bigger. So minus 1x plus 1 plus 4. Now, when you FOIL that, notice I'm keeping that in a set of parentheses, so that's important. And then you want to collect the like terms. So we would have negative 3 times x squared. These two things right here are the like terms. So when you put those together, what do you get? Negative 2x. Good. Okay, so that's going to be negative 2x plus 1 and then plus 4. Now, all we need to do from here is distribute the 3 through the parenthesis, collect the like terms, then we've got that in standard form. Okay? All right. So we're going to have negative 3x squared. I'm just distributing. Negative 3 times negative 2 is plus 6x. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Then the plus 4 comes down. I don't distribute the 4 because that's outside the parentheses. Okay, now we're almost done. What we're going to do is we have negative 3x squared plus 6x plus 1 is what we get. That would be the multiplied out standard form of this function. Okay, believe it or not, we now know a, b, and c. What's a? Just like quadratic equation, that's what? Negative 3, what's b? 6, what's c? We know it, okay? You have to go through all that process to do that. Okay, math teachers, we like to give students exercises that build up their skills. This builds up a lot of skills, okay? That's the purpose behind that, is to kind of build up a lot of skills. So your answer on the problem would be a is negative 3, b is 6, c is equal to 1. Okay, that's how you do that. All right, is there questions about all that stuff I did? Okay, now I think I'm going to have you do the next problem here in just a minute, but there's one other thing I want to do is you have the ability, I know there's a problem like this on your written assignment, and there's, I think, one on web work on 5.1. So you got the power to tell you're right, okay? And that's pretty important to do. So if you got your calculator, get your calculator out, okay? And let's graph this and let's see if we're right, okay? And what you want to do is you want to go down and put in what I'm highlighting in blue. Just go to Y1 and put that in. Put your answer in. So we got negative 3x squared, and then plus 6x, and then plus 1. Okay, just graph that in the standard window. So like we've been doing all semester, I usually just show you go zoom number 6. Okay, and then that'll graph it. Okay, so here's how you tell you're right. I've taught you how to do the trace feature on this. So first of all, let's trace at 1. The reason 1 is because I gave you the vertex 1, 4. So if you type trace 1, let's see if the point 1, 4 doesn't come out. Indeed it does, okay, look at that. That's not enough though, you also need to trace at negative 1. So if you type trace negative 1, we need to see that the point negative 1, negative 8's on the graph also. So that's one way to do it. The other way you can do this if you want to is you can go to your table of values if you want to and just see if those points are on there. So notice on here we've got, here's negative 1, 8. That's there. You can see it. There's 1, 4. Boom, we're right. Isn't that cool? Heck yeah. Okay, if you can tell you're right on something, in a math class or any class, that's always cool, right? Yeah, okay. All right, very good. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to let you all work on the next problem. And, you might need to work together a little bit on this. I know you're going to have fractions, and don't let the fractions make you panic, okay? Because I think A, B, and C are all going to be fractions, okay? So I'll kind of leave this up here, and it's a three-step process to do this. You want to start with that vertex form, because I give you the vertex. Then you want to, plug in the other point I give you to find A, and then you multiply it out. Okay, all right. So I'll give you at least 5 minutes to do this because that takes a little bit of time to do everything on now. Okay, I'm gonna work it out real quick, and then I'll come around and see how you're doing. And you want to reduce your fractions. Okay, A will be a fraction. It'll be something that you're going to need to reduce. You guys are so spread out today. I just like you to kind of sit close to each other so we can kind of compare and contrast answers and stuff. Okay, so to begin with, you have exactly what I have. Good, very good. And then you're on the right track, except don't put f of 4, that's 4. The value of that's 4. Then you'll be okay. Then you're going to have, 4 equals this. Okay, because I plugged it in here. Okay, so remember that other point on that was 3, 4. So I plugged it in right there. Okay, that becomes 4. That plugs in there. That becomes 3 becomes there. So you do want to plug it into what you have right there. Okay, now what you missed, and I didn't catch, oh, here we go, down here. Yeah, that was a plus 1. And the reason it's plus 1 is because you have x minus negative 1. Okay, so you missed that aspect of it. So you need to have, for your first step, you really come up with that conclusion. Then plug your 4 and your 3 into that. Okay? All right, minus minus is plus. Minus minus will show up on the problem, so you want to make sure you resolve that early. You already got an answer? All right, you have a graphing calculator with you today? Okay, you want to borrow mine? Okay, because there's one little thing. I think you got a right answer. You have that last number is 2 1/16. I think is what you had, or 2 1/8 or something. Yeah, that's okay, but it's better if you write 2 1/8. 2 times 8, 16 plus 1, 17/8. You remember how to do that? So it's better right that way. So just put it in your calculator, and you can borrow my calculator if you want to and see if it's right. But when you put that in, everywhere you see one of those fractions, you want to put in have those in parentheses. So see if that's right. Okay. I think it might be right. You got A right. You got B right, but you didn't get C right. So that means you have a little mistake. You didn't FOIL wrong. I think all you did wrong is that. And that right there should have been a +2. that's why you missed it. Yeah. That's all you did, okay? So you did great, right? Okay, now A should have turned out to be 1/8. First thing that you did incorrectly there is you didn't resolve that minus. That will be a plus. So you really should have f of x is equal to a times x plus 1 squared, and then +2. See, that right there, minus a -1 becomes +1. So you need to adjust that and see where that takes you. Okay? Now you're all the way back here with that.
Yeah, I can't relate to it.
That's okay. You can come in front and join the class if you want to. Okay, you got 1/8 for x. 2/16. Good. Okay, so you're on the right track so far. So now you just got to kind of put it all together and multiply it all out. So you missed A. 4 there. See, that's all good there. This is all good. So when you solve this equation, you need to subtract 2 first. Then you'll have 2 equals 16A. Then okay, there we go. That's it. Okay. Once you get that A, you're getting busy. Good shape. Okay. I think the one thing right there, you probably should write that as ax plus 1 squared plus k. After your first step, you want to write that like that. Okay. Yeah, and you're okay here. Now that's going to become 4.
You don't do the exponent first.
No, you've got to do that. If you have x subtract -1 is +1. That is the problem. Now you're going to have 4, like you have, equals a times 3 plus 1 squared. Okay, like that. And then the plus k was 2, so you have that right like that. Okay. So see if you can adjust that and see if you can get that figured out. Okay. Okay, did you figure out, there you go. Okay, that's all you did then, so that's real good. It's 1/8, okay, and real simple, this is exactly right here. So now you divide by 16, okay, divide by 2, okay, so it's 1/8 equals 8. Now take it from there, okay? Okay, guys doing good, a little arithmetic and algebra stuff. Okay, that's good. So you got 1/8. See, here's where your problem is right now. Is remember that becomes +1. Okay, so you need to see if you can adjust that now. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and that's it. Okay. Yeah. Foil. Okay. Yeah. So you've got everything I have. So first outer inside left. So it would be x squared plus 1x. Plus 1x plus 1.
Okay, sorry, yeah, I was trying to distribute.
And then distribute the 1/8. So you have to do it in that order.
Okay.
Yeah, the order of operation says do an exponent. So x plus 1 to the second is an exponent. You have to work that aspect in.
Okay, so that first.
Right. Then you distribute the 1/8 through there. You got a good calculator and kind of help you a little bit with fractions and stuff. Okay, you still working on it?
Yeah.
Okay. A turns out to be, I think, 1/8 is what I got there. Okay, you're doing great. Okay. The thing is, that would be 4 to the second. So you have to work inside the parentheses. 4 to the second is 16. So you're going to have 4 equals a times 16 plus 2. Okay. Order of operations. That's showing up a little bit here. There we go. Okay. And just FOIL. Just bring the 1/8 down. You need to focus on doing the FOIL there. And the result of that will be in parentheses. Then you want to distribute that 1/8 through there. Okay?
It's the little thing.
Okay. So you guys are going pretty good. I'm just seeing all the background issues. Order of operations is kind of a big thing. It seems to be showing up here. So let's see, I'm going to go ahead and put the solution up, and if you're in the middle, I think everybody was pretty close to being finished there, so I want to leave this up here so you can kind of check and see if you got what I got, and if you need a little help with finishing up, we can. So the basic thing, these are the three things you got to check on the problem. The first thing is, what a lot of you did is you never did anything with that x minus -1. Now change that. That's x plus 1. So step one is you needed to have this on your paper. F of x equals a times x plus 1 squared plus 2. So what I helped a lot of you with is make that x plus 1. If you don't do that, you're going to make the problem more difficult. Simplify, okay? Now notice in step 2, I take the 0.34, f of x becomes 4, x becomes 3, so you end up solving this equation 4 equals a times 3 plus 1 squared plus 2. So there's a few little slip-ups on equation solving that were kind of minor that I tended to see. And this little piece right here, sometimes students want to go 3 to the second and 1 to the second. You don't do it that way. When you're doing that piece of the problem, order of operations says work in parentheses first, then do your exponent. Okay, so that's an order of operation issue that showed up. Okay, so you got to stop that and correct that if that's a problem for you. So anyway, you solve that for a, you get a equals 1/8. Okay, are we at the 1/8 part? Did I think everybody got that? Okay, all right. And once you get the 1/8 part, then it's just a matter of multiplying the whole thing out. So when you're on step 3, you want to make sure that now you've got, you're just taking this right here and you're replacing that a back in like that. So you're going to have 1/8 x plus 1 to the second plus 2. Now it's a matter of multiplying it all out. Couple of things I saw. Some of you really kind of wanted to multiply that 1/8 through the parentheses. Why do you not do that? Order of operations says exponents before multiplication. That's why. So you have to multiply that, which is foiling, and when you foil it, you end up getting x squared plus 2x plus 1, okay? Then it's a matter of distributive properties, so you'd have 1/2 x squared, 2/8 x, which you can reduce. 1/8 times 1 is 1 plus 2, okay? So if you kind of look at what I got here, you already got the a, there's your b, which reduces to 1/4. Now you got to work with the 2 times 1/8. And you can get a common denominator. You could even put 2 plus 1/8 on your calculator, and it'll change that to the fraction 17/8 also. Okay, so there it is. ABC like that. And if you want a graph to check, you certainly can. I do want to go over this graphing. So get your calculator out, because I want you all to, a lot of students would not put this in their calculator correctly. Okay, that's why I want to go over this. So when you put a fraction in your calculator, you need to make sure that that thing is in parentheses. So you'd have to put in 1/8 in parentheses, close the parentheses, then put in x squared. You have to put it in like that. Then you're going to go to 1/4. So you'd have 1/4 x, like that. Okay, and then you're going to have to go plus. You could actually leave the parentheses off the 17/8, but the reason you have to put it in that way is because the calculator has to work out 1/8 and 1/4 and 17/8 before it actually does the graphing. So you have to make the calculator change those numbers to decimals. Now if you go zoom 6, that's what your graph looks like. And then a real simple way to do this is go to the table of values. So if you go second graph, just see if those 2 points I gave you were in there. So I gave you the 0.34, I believe. There it is, 3 4's there. The other point I gave you, what was the vertex on this problem? -1 2, yeah, there it is. So there you go, -1 2's there, 3 4's there. Boom, you're right. Okay, so you want to make sure that you put things in your calculator correctly, dealing with fractions correctly. Okay, all right, I thought you all did a good job. What do you think? That's the hardest problem in this section. Okay. It's a good exercise because you learn a lot from it. Order of operations, arithmetic, fractions. Good job. Okay. All right. That'll make you better. All right, do we have any questions? Has everybody got this written down and completed? Yeah, you have something? Yeah, and the way you would do this, if you want to, I always want students to be able to do fractions by hand. I mean, but like this last piece, when you're doing, you see this part where I have 2 plus an eighth, you could go like this. You can just go 2 plus 1 divided by 8, and that's going to give you a decimal, okay? Then you press the math button, and then up will pop is this option 1, convert to fraction. You press enter a second time, there's your 17/8. Okay, with these calculators, you should never make a mistake on fractions ever, right? Okay, yeah, okay, so do that, all right? Okay, I'll stop.